And Charlie, thank you very much for making time for us today.
Hey, I'm happy to do it. I watch the show a lot. It's a good show.
And now you're making your cameo appearance, at least with me, the first time with me, so welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
Let's get started just with a little bit of an overview. This is going to be the 142nd meet in Saratoga, and what is it that you are expecting? Obviously you're hoping for good turnout, so it's lucrative for the track.
Yeah, Saratoga is really, without question, the best racing meet in the country. We average 24,000 people a day. All source handles about just under 14 million a day, and we bet about $3.2 million a day on track, far eclipsing any other racetrack in the country. And the other trend that we're bucking is that most racetracks have reduced the number of days that they run. Del Mar used to run 6, they're down to 5. They're our sort of big competitor in California during the summer. But we've been able to sustain our business at 6 days. We've expanded 4 additional days, so we're running 40 days this year, 6.5 weeks instead of the 6 of last year.
So actually, you had more than 25,000 people on average last year, and are you expecting or hoping that you'll be able to hit that mark at least this year?
Yeah, we think attendance is probably, we're very weather dependent. I mean, we had a decent year attendance-wise. Unfortunately, on Traverse Day last year, it poured. That's our big day. We usually expect 45,000 people. We got about 30. So, you know, but I think that the attendance will probably be about equivalent to last year. I think the big question is how much wagering activity. The industry in general, year-to-date's been down about 8%. Last year, the whole industry was down 8%. But we were down in our 36 days, only 1.7%. So, you know, we're off to a good start with 2 good cards Friday, Saturday, and a 3rd good card coming on Sunday. So, you know, we're very optimistic. We've got full stalls, 1,800 stalls full of horses, and most of the people walking around here today as we get ready to go are got a big smile on their face.
Okay, let's talk a little politics. This meet actually, it looked for a while like it wouldn't even happen. And NYRA, of course, is a pre-cash strapped outfit. The state actually had to lend NYRA $25 million to enable this to happen. You're operating a little bit under a cloud starting this, and you're also coming on the heels of this audit from the state comptroller. Now, he said he was going to put people to do intensive monitoring on the faltering agency. Is that going to affect this meet at all? I mean, are we going to see people from DiNapoli's audit with little office with little green eye shades?
Well, we're meeting with some people from the comptroller's office on Wednesday. Most of our financial data and reporting and information is actually done at Aqueduct year-round, so we'll know a lot more after next Wednesday as to what their intentions were. But at the moment, there's nobody from the comptroller's office on the grounds.
And in terms of that audit, the outset, or rather, you believed that it was going to be a political document. Of course, the comptroller is running this year for the first time statewide to maintain this office that he has, that he inherited from Alan Hevesy in the wake of a scandal, thanks to the legislature. He's doing a lot of different things, attention-getting things these days. But the audit generally, even though it found so much fault with NYRA, you thought was largely fair?
Well, you know, if you actually go read the document, it's a pretty fair document because it incorporates their concerns and it incorporates our responses. The press release that went out didn't read a lot like the document, but if we could, let's just go back to how that audit occurred, which was that we had made a statement that we were going to run out of money sometime in the June-July timeframe. I said that back in 2009, and the reason for that was we did a deal with the state in 2008 where we transferred the deeds and title to $1 billion worth of land, the 3 tracks, Aqueduct, Saratoga, and Belmont. We got $100 million in cash. We got $54 million in forgiveness of debt. So basically the state got $1 billion worth of land for only $154 million, a deal that I think you and I would do every day of the week. There was one additional component to that, though, which was that if they didn't get the VLT operator up and running by April 1st, 2009, and at that point, they were about to select Delaware North. It looked like that was going to happen. We insisted that they would have to make support payments for capital expenses and operating expenses until such a time as they selected somebody and they were up and operating. And, you know, in the state, we went to them, we talked to the budget director, we talked to the governor's office, we showed them the document, we showed them, you know, the obligation the state had. No one said that they didn't have the obligation. The problem was they didn't have the money. And, you know, when you look at racing in the context of firing state workers, people losing their jobs, teachers, cops, firemen, You know, it took a while for everybody to understand that the economics of racing is a huge benefit to the state, both in terms of the breeding as well as in terms of this race meet, which generates $230 million for the Saratoga County alone.
Are you not, actually the controller's audit said fairly plainly that if in fact the aqueduct deal is not done at some point, that NYRA is going to end up running out of money, as you already noted. But at this point also you're talking about, and this is sort of a confluence of two things, gaming and also racing, which is all about betting.
Correct.
You're also talking about the Shinnecock on Long Island just recently got recognized by the feds, and so there's a possibility that there will be a casino there. Now we're talking about a racino at Aqueduct, and now it's all supposed to be bailing out the racing industry, or rather shoring up the racing industry, if you will, the gaming industry in New York. At some point, isn't there a saturation?
Yeah, I think, you know, the Shinnecocks, they've got a long way to go before they can get, number one, it's not clear that they can put this casino wherever they want. There's a whole issue about land, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. As far as the racino at Aqueduct, we had a deal with MGM done back in 2004. Pataki administration didn't let us go forward. But even with the wagering that was, you know, being done at Yonkers, Connecticut, New Jersey, they thought that the biggest problem we were going to have is crowd control on weekends. So, you know, conservatively, the state is going to gain anywhere from $300 to $400 million a year from the VLTs at Aqueducts. You know, they've got, when this legislation was done in 2001, there are 8 harness tracks and 2 thoroughbred tracks. The private 8 harness tracks and the 1 thoroughbred track have been up and operating for 4 or 5 years with VLTs. Even so, with all that other gaming, we think that the Aqueduct facility and anybody involved in the potential operation of this believes it'll be a hugely successful project.
If it ever gets off the ground, right? I mean, at this one point, now we have this one bidder left, Genting, New York. It's actually an overseas operation, a firm that's not from around here. They are going to be, but it's not, they're not even a done deal. I mean, we're being told that they're going to be reviewed quite thoroughly, and it's possible that you'd have to go back to the drawing board if they're rejected. That would be a 3rd time now. Will NYRA be able, how long will NYRA be able to be sustained in terms of money if, in fact, the Aqueduct deal doesn't get done in a rapid way, because it's clearly not fast-tracked anymore? And also, will you be able to be paying back this $25 million loan that the state made in order for Saratoga to open?
Let's take those sort of one at a time. First thing is, this bid process was the first time it was run as a state procurement process. It was run by the lottery. It's been extremely well run. They've made their dates. As you know, there were 3 bidders who actually submitted their bids. There were 2 that were disqualified because the bidders were told, you have to comport with this memoranda of understanding. You have to operate and bid within the 4 sides of this document. And Genting did, and the other 2 bidders did not. You know, Genting has some experience here in New York and in the Northeast. I believe that they were one of the backers of Monticello. I believe that they were financially involved in the Seneca Casino in Buffalo. They were involved in the original financing of Foxwoods. They're a big Malaysian company, but they have gaming entities all around